Good evening, everyone. Anyway, I'm a member of, my name is Dr. Hyginus Nnamdi Anedo. I'm a member of APC, but I don't know if I will be able to fit into the show of our guest tonight.
Well, you can hold the fort until he comes. We don't mind.
Okay, no problem. Let me see how far I can go.
All right, thank you so much.
Also here.
Thank you so much. I'm going to make it an open discussion since our guest is not here. Good evening, and you are welcome to another interview powered by News.Band Television. I am Augusta Neka. And today we are going to be discussing about Anambra decides preparedness of the APC towards the 2021 Anambra State gubernatorial elections. We're supposed to have Honorable Victor Afamogene, the Director of Publicity and Media for the Senator Andy Uba's campaign team. He's also a former member of the House of Representatives, and he is also a chieftain of the APC. But we are not able to get to him, unfortunately, due to network challenges. So I'm going to make it an open discussion right now. And the first person that have stepped up to accept the challenge of speaking for his party is Dr. Hyginus Nnamdi Anedo. Dr. Anedo, thank you so much for allowing us to interview you, even though it's very impromptu. Are you here?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, clearly. I can hear you clearly.
Okay, great. Yeah, so proud to be a member of APC. From the year 2014, I became a member of APC, and I've been following the party. My being a member of APC is because of the ideology of APC, which is a little to the left and a little to the right. We know that for a very long time, getting a party that will be more of a socialist is.
Okay, can you hear me? Dr. Anedo?
However, I saw APC as a balanced party. That was one of the things that made me to be a member of APC. Then, as regards the Anambra State election, how prepared? Yes, I can say very assuredly that APC as a party is well prepared for this round of gubernatorial election in Anambra State. Why did I say so? I was privileged to be a member of the steering committee at state level before we went into primaries. And because I will say I'm biased because I have one of the candidates as my choice candidate because of the potentials I feel that he has. And I saw in him a person that is well balanced as a businessman and as also a politician. So unfortunately, for every contest, there must be a winner. And where there are a winner or where there is a winner, other contestants maybe agree one way or the other because naturally in human life, where there's competition, there are some bad losers. And there are some losers that would like to go forward to see if he can actualize most of his aspirations before joining the contest. So we had a robust, first, a kind of rebranding of APC because the context, in democratic setting, opposition can come up or chop up different types of message that will make the electorate look the other way of their opponents. So there were a lot of propaganda, APC being an Hausa party and the rest of them. So that is like a stigma on the party. So what we did initially was to plan on how to destigmatize that concept, most Anambrelans, or even the Southeasterners, Igbo as a race, has against APC. Well, it is well accepted because PDP has been the core political party for the Igbos since the formation, since the beginning of this democratic setting since 1998, even said when PDP was formed. So, so we went all out to convince our people to accept the messages of APC as a party, to the extent that we coined the Aziza, which is the broom, the symbol of ABC. We coined it to be Azizi Igbo. So Azizi Igbo becoming one of the movements that we're able to harness the potentials of our the youth in Anambra State. And we, at least we can boast of 2/3 of the youth buying into or keen into that, because when the primaries were going on, you know, we have formidable contestants. Andoba, who is a party flag bearer, is one of them. Then we have other stalwarts, very big guys that has all it takes to rule Anambra State. All of them joined the race of primaries. So it was a robust sensitization and mobilization of our people into APC. And that was to a very high extent validated by the party registration that we did. People were trooping out and got registered into the party. Then we went into the primaries, of course. As we all know now, there is a winner, and the winner is the flag bearer of our party.
Okay, doctor, let me just cut you short here, so we don't answer all the question at once. You know, we need to pause a bit. Let me ask you this. You mentioned something about your party carrying out a campaign to convince Ndi Igbo, the Anambra especially, to vote your party. Just tell us more about that before we move on to talk about other cases.
Okay, as I was trying to
Honorable Ghana is back. Can we check whether he's sorry?
Yes, he came in and left almost immediately. He's trying to connect his audio right now. I'm watching his movement.
Okay,
Doctor,
great.
please go ahead.
As he comes in, so I'll bow out and stand at his back.
No problem. I'm watching him. So just go ahead.
So, as I said, initially we identify our challenges as a party in Anambra State, not only in Anambra, but southeastern states. And what we had in mind as trying to achieve to convince the people of Anambra State and Anambrans to vote for our party. So we are convinced that we have what it takes to make them happy if the party takes the mantle of leadership in Anambra State as by being in Agoka. So we harness all and explore all those challenges. We came out with challenges. I mean, just to make sure we actualize that. So the first focus, as I said, was on the youth, for them to understand the ideology of APC, that APC is actually the party that will give them the future. They have the future they aspire and they should have in Nigeria. So that was what. So by the time we mobilized these youths, we formed the Azizi Igbo. And the most importantly is that for anybody, any person, or any of the candidates that express their interest to carry the flag of our party into this election, they decided to work as a team, selling the party messages and selling themselves to be voted for by the party delegates, party members, because ours was a direct primary. So that is it. So with that, we have identified what are the challenges, what are the gaps that we have in Anambra State now. How can we mainstream Anambra into the national politics? Not only trying to mainstream Anambra, what are the takeaways that Anambrans we even bring for the rest of the eastern states, right?
Okay, so, let's talk about the party primaries. After the primaries, your party came in under a lot of fire, saying that, in fact, there was even allegations that there was no primaries at all, and that Senator Andy Uba just strong-armed other candidates to emerge as the flag bearer. How did your party manage to solve that internal crisis and become a party that's, like I said earlier, is now a strong contender and have unified to the extent that people are now coming into the party? How was your party able to achieve this?
Fine, that's like what I said before. All the aspirants agreed to work together, even post-primary. But you know, where there is competition, even among brothers, they are maybe bad losers. So Andy Uba emerged following a primary that was structured by the party hierarchy NEC that mandated them to come to Anambra State and conduct the primaries, direct primary election. It was direct primaries. And at the end, Andy Uba was declared the winner. So expectedly, you will see some of the aspirants or even some party stakeholders may not like Andy Uba as a person. So you could see, I think from on record today, this dispensation of election in Anambra State has recorded the least litigation post any primary that has before now conducted in Anambra State. So naturally, there was small agitation against the candidacy of Andy Uba. So the party having a solid structure, and also most importantly, that most of the party members have agreed now that this is the best opportunity we have to mainstream ourselves into the national politics. So you could see how the matter was, somehow resolved. So it's about one litigation that is against that, what they call it, the primaries itself. And as a party, APC is as a party that I know very well in Anambra State. That is the internal crisis, as you said. And I believe before that November 6th, all those crises must have resolved. You could even see
Doctor, I'm sorry to cut you short. I can see that Honorable Victor Afamogene is back. Honorable, just let me know when you're ready and we would continue the conversation. By the way, Dr. Hyginus Nnamdi Anedo has been holding the fort pending when you come back. And I can see that you're back now and you've stayed because you've been going in and out. So let's see if we can continue the conversation now. Okay, and we lost him again. Sorry, Doctor, please go ahead.
If the guest is listening to me, you should understand that because maybe network issue, and I as a member of APC, I'm trying on my own capacity to sell our party to every participant here, so that at the end we'll be able to achieve our victory. Because I know the essence of this is to also to as an avenue of harnessing information or messages that everybody can now join hand and sell our party, because the essence of this is to find or know which party that Anambra State truly deserve at this moment or at this period. So as I was saying, I try to inform you that the party itself has every machinery put in place now to resolve the internal crisis. And before November 6th, you see that those that are aggrieved within the party itself will be able to join hand and see the party to victory. Then, because, as I said before, the magnitude of people coming back together immediately after the primaries, though there are some people that even left, but there is willingness now, internal mechanism that is put in place that most of those aspirants will eventually work for APC. So you could see a massive influx of major stakeholders in Anambra State, from PDP, particularly as a party, into APC. That shows that how prepared we are and how optimistic we are that we are going to win the election after all. Thank you.
Okay, now your party, you said something about your party carrying out a campaign to desensitize Anambra State and India Anambra of the tag Hausa Party. But was this sensitization project carried out just to convince the political elites of Anambra State or the ordinary electorate?
Yes, the major target is ordinary electorate, because to an extent, what we call Nigerian elites, maybe people who can read very well and write, and they also seek information wherever it's available. Compared to most of the Nigerian electorates, first there's apathy in them, and the stigma, as I said, they have on APC. Major aim of sensitization and mobilization is to desensitize those information, and the sensitization of those information is by way of selling out the messages of the party. One, we want to bring a laudable change in Anambra State from where it is now. Then also institute a system that will be sustainable for further governance in Anambra State. And I believe that we are ready to achieve that, and we're working towards it as a party.
All right. I said initially at the beginning of this interview that we're going to have an open discussion since our guest is not here. So I would ask that if you want to join this conversation, simply raise your digital hand, and I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible, especially from other members of the APC. Now, let me ask you this. How were you able to convince the political elites? Was your party able to convince the political elites? Because you just said that this campaign was targeted at the electorate. So how come your party is witnessing major defections from the PDP and ABGA to the APC?
Okay, politics itself is a dynamic science, and in a period of electioneering, people, especially the electorate, listens more to hope they find in any message that is being sold. And most importantly, in Anambra State now, there is a kind of paradigm shift to even listening to party message, and but more or less on the individual. So if you look at the caliber of candidates now that are trying to vie for the gubernatorial election, you could see that the most experienced in terms of politics, a major stakeholder in even Igbo politics, in the person of Andy Oba, is the candidate of APC. So naturally, there must be that shift of electorate interest, because you also remember this is not his first time, second time of trying to seek for this governorship of Anambra State. So that is why the electorate has to look the way of APC. And that's why APC now as those elites, because naturally the elites, as far as Anambra State election is concerned, is where the electorate has more interest. Naturally, the elites will now try to push their tent there, because with this electoral reform, a lot of things has changed. So the more the number, the merrier. Thank you.
Okay, I can see a hand up, Supreme Leader. You can see your hand is up. Okay, it has been renamed. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, because you're not audible enough. Can you speak up? Hello? Hello? Okay, let us take Sir Chris Chikwelu Jr. because I cannot hear. Sir Chikwelu, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Okay, now we can hear you. Oh, I can see that you've been renamed. I'm sorry,
Yes.
Napoleon. Okay, this is somebody that we've had a whole lot of conversation with. The zonal, if I remember correctly, you are the zonal
publicity secretary
for the APC. Yes. Okay, so we're talking about your party's preparedness towards the election. What's your contribution?
The APC, as you all know, is the ruling party at the center. The APC, as you all know, is a major stakeholder now in the Southeast politics. And with the coming of Senator Andy Oba, the APC remains the major opposition party, following the defection of a number of House of Assembly members and House of Rep members. And since its creation on July 30th, 2013, this is the APC's best chance to produce a governor. And party members and even non-party members and stakeholders are keen into this project. So it goes to show that the APC is quite prepared, to vie for this election. And this is an election for the APC to lose. I say it again. It's an election for the APC to lose. And that's the situation as we have it right now.
Can you expatiate further on the statement? It's an election for the APC to lose.
You see, when you already want something, if you go into the market space, you meet with the academia, the intellectuals, the politicians, the policymakers, the hoi polloi, the lumpen masses of Indiana, you will find out that Senator Andy Uba is the only candidate that resonates with each and everyone's interests. You conduct an opinion poll and you find out that the man is eons ahead of other candidates. And you should understand that there has been implosions in ABGA. There have been implosions in PDP, but there is not one implosion in the APC. You understand? So that is why I believe that it's an election for the APC to lose.
All right. Now we've been hearing rumors of a coalition between the APC and the APGA, that's the current ruling party in Anambra State. What is your take on this?
I don't think a coalition can work. A coalition, the first instance, INEC date for submission of candidates has elapsed. And yes, so
hello. We can't hear you. Okay, while we are trying to hear him, let us listen to the next hand, Sir Chikwelu Jr. Sir Chikwelu, please.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, good evening, the moderator.
Good evening, sir.
Firstly, I want to thank Aginus Nnamdi Anedo and Arinze Weli, who has been holding forth. They've been holding forth for the guest, Honorable Victor Afamogene, who was supposed to be here today to speak on issues as raised. Firstly, I want to support what they're saying because they've said a lot. Because if you follow the dictum, if you remember what one of our foremost philosophers, Right Honorable Dr. Chuba Karibo said, Chuba Karibo said that it's a sign of political sagacity to understand political arithmetic. In order to achieve political strategy, to be able to bring brothers and sisters together from vertical and horizontal level to achieve political victory. What am I saying? What I'm saying is that time has come for Anambrarians to choose the best. When I'm talking about the best of the parties and the best of the man who has been there holding forth, holding the flag of the party, going around the state. Because while we're talking about mass defection, of course, you will not blame Anambrarians for such. Because all this while, we need to ask ourselves, why is it there are mass defection in most of the political parties here, in ABGA, in PDP, in YPP, in ADC, and some of all those parties? It was because the man who is holding the mantle of APC is a man whom so much people believed in. He's a man whom everybody feels that he can be able to drive the dictates of the state to a high level, get involved and achieve Anambra state of our dream. So that's why you see today that people are coming from right, left, center, and back to join up with APC in order for them to win an election, form government, and drive the process that can create an development that every Anambrian will be proud of.
Okay,
First of all,
Chikwelu, please permit me to interject here. Honorable Ogene, I can see that you have started your video, but you have not joined your audio. So kindly join your audio and just let us know when you're ready. And we have members of the APC trying to hold the fort here for you until you are able to join the conversation. Right now, we are speaking with Sir Chikwelu. And please go ahead, Sir Chikwelu.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
So do I go on? Is that
yes, please.
Yeah?
He has not joined his audio yet, so go on.
You're welcome, the Director of Media and Publicity and the Uba Campaign of You're welcome to this forum. So actually,
he has not joined his audio, so just go ahead.
Okay. So like what we're saying is that people will be asking, why is it APC now? Like when Honorable Ajinu Sanedo was talking, giving his experience from 2014, 2015 till today. Yes, some of us, before this time around, we were members of a different political party. But we've seen that as time goes on, you need to look at the manifesto projections and what they think they can do for Anambra State. And we have seen that the best thing we can do is to join hands with that state, with that party, which we see as a very progressive party, to ensure that the candidate of the party wins the governorship election in order to provide an infrastructure development that is lacking in the present government we have in Anambra State. Because if you ask anybody today, what is our problem today? Our problem today was that in 2013, Anambranians had an election, electing someone they felt that as a chartered accountant, that he may be very frugal and prudent in managing the state resources. But at the end of the day, when he got elected, he never cared or he never bothered to run on the government the way government activities ought to be run. And everything went into coma. If you are moving around Anambra State today, you will see that every infrastructure is dilapidated. And that's why today you see that immediately and people who they believe that have connection at the center, who can drive the state very, very well. He made as governorship candidate of APC. You see
Let me interject here. Sorry, you just made the statement now that one of the benefits of the APC right now is their connection to the center. Do you think this will play a major role in the upcoming elections?
Of course. Let me tell you, if you're a president general of the community and you don't know anybody in the state, how do you think you can be able to attract government presence in your place? Like today, the reason why people are coming into APC, coming in day by day, was because, let me put it that way, they know that Anduba has the connection to put Anambra State in the map. When I mean the map, at the national grid, where the issues concerning total development will come there. Like what we have now. We have a governor who belongs to Afghan. You understand? He does not have a caucus. Other parties we have PDP caucus, we have APC caucus. Only one party, Afghan, as a governor. He and who will do that caucus? Nobody. But today, if somebody like Andrew becomes a governor, he has a contact in the center. He has been a senator for 80 years. He has been in the presidency. He knows the right button to press in order for things to come to Anambra State. In order for economic agencies, development agencies to bring development to Anambra State so that Anambra State will benefit. It was unlike before, where people go cap in hand, begging. Because government is all about engagement. Government is all about consultation. Government is all about meet who do you know. It is not that things cannot happen if you don't know anybody. There are certain things, if you are on the same level with somebody, you can easily work in someone's office. Let me give you an example. EU, RWASA, USAID, UK agencies, and other things. It's not that they don't go to places to do work, but they have to, once someone they know very, very well comes into the office and they explain the reasons why they should come to that state to do some rapid development, I think there's nothing that will stop them from not doing that rapid development. Then, on the other part, someone that people trust. If you check somebody like Andy Uba, who has played a major role in Igbo politics, Nigerian police of Igbo extraction, Andy Uba, when he was in the presidency, he tried a lot by placing some of the things concerning job placement of our Igbo people, those he helped to become ministers, those he helped to become directors, those he helped to become so many things, head of agencies, ministry, development, and boards. Those who will start coming in, believing that one of their own is now governor, they can come and contribute their own quota for even development of infrastructure, for even development of economic manpower. And that's what Anambra State as a state needs. Because Anambra is a state where individuals do some certain development. What we expect from government is for government to provide an enabling environment for them to now do those.
Sachikwelu. Sachikwelu. Okay, I think we've lost him also. Let us hear from our guest. He's back, Honorable Victor Afamogene.
Well, with the network issues I've encountered, especially being in Best Western Mail just behind Government House, it says a lot about the internet connectivity within Oka as a city. And if I'm just behind Government House and I'm having these difficulties, I don't know how we can manage in other parts of the state. But I want to thank my friends and associates, Chris and Hygienus, who have held forth. I don't know where we are right now. So I don't know, maybe if you ask a question, I'd be able to take it.
Yes, we have been talking about, like topics suggest, the preparedness of the All Progressive Congress towards the Anambra State election. And they have been telling us about the sensitization project of the electorate towards the goals and the objective of the APC. We have also talked about the campaign towards the political elites and the regular electorate. We have also spoken about the person and Uba and what he brings to the table. But Sir Chris Chikwelu was just telling us about how important it is that the APC is connected to the center, so we stop going, in quotes, cap in hand to beg. Rather, we can just have engagements and we would be able to get development for Anambra. So now I'm going to ask you, why should Anambra take a chance on the APC?
Well, thank you for the rundown. I think that the Anambra election is basically a referendum on which way Ndibo, and when I say Ndibo, we know that Anambra is a prime state among the southeastern states. So whichever way Anambra goes should chart the path for the rest of Igbo land. For me, I think it's a referendum. Where do we go? How do we address our problems? The basic problem that the average Igbo man talks about today is the issue of marginalization. But I believe that you can't stay in your corner and be crying marginalization. What are you going to do about it? The Southwest had always played opposition politics up until the coming of President Buhari in 2015, when he teamed up with Asiwaju Tinubu. I think they gave it a thought and realized that remaining in opposition would not augur well for them, and they decided to go into that coalition, which gave rise to the APC. So for us, until a referendum is done, talk about whether you are talking about regionalism, you're talking about state, your own is Nigeria. And you cannot be crying that you're cheated out of appointments, out of infrastructure, what have you. The only way to go about it is to decide how to remain in your cocoon and be a big fish in a small pond, or you go and join other fishes in a large pond and compete for space. And for us, if you look at the number of people who are streaming into the APC, that should tell you that a lot of people who have had dealings across the Niger, who are there in Abuja, in Lagos, they realize that the issues is such that you have at the center where the cake is baked and shared. And that is why these people coming into APC are not just coming into APC for the fun of it. It is because they have realized that we cannot shout marginalization in the Southeast. We sit down and maybe take decisions that do not affect the rest of the country. But when we go there at the center, everybody is talking about their region and we have a strong voice. Why not? Why can't we get a buy-in for the others to look into those issues? We cannot be talking about, oh, we are not appointed into this position, we are not appointed into that position, the building rates and we are there being left out. It is people who will go and talk about it. So essentially, for me, I think that it is that connect that people are looking out for. So it is a decision whether we want to go to the center and alongside other Nigerians talk about Nigeria or remain as a one state party as ABGA represents.
All right, remember that you can join this conversation simply by raising up your digital hand, and I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as time permits. Now, analysts have come out to say that one of the things attractive about Senator Andy Uba's candidacy is what happened during the primaries and how, in quotes, he strong-armed other candidates to emerge the party's flag bearer. And he's going to do the same thing come November 6th. What is your take on this?
When they say what happened, I don't know what happened. The primaries, the Supreme Court has long ruled, it's an internal affair of every political party. Is it the ABGA primaries where even sitting members of the House of Representatives, after buying their forms, were disqualified? Somebody who is already in the House of Reps, what criteria do you put forward that the person cannot qualify to go and stand the election? So they were simply eliminated so that Soludo would emerge. If you go to PDP, from ward delegates till they ended up with super delegates, even the super delegates, check the number of the person who won as against the number of people who participated in that primaries. For the APC primaries, we had our direct primaries in 326 wards. These other primaries, ABGA was held in a single venue in the Doren Akwinli Women Development Center with less than 1,500 people. For the PDP, less than 300 people. Yes, they've started in the morning and ended in the night. So for people who are holding theirs in 326 wards in far-flung areas, and they would expect that the process should have ended in the afternoon. Yes, some people came, the process started a little late, and they left. But that does not mean that the process will not come to a conclusion. And when it did, there were winners and losers. And for me, after the primaries, everybody is a winner. You come round your party to go into the main election. How come it is even people who are not APC members that are crying so much about the primaries without removing the logs in their own eyes? Senator Andy Uba emerged from the process, and we have long passed that. We are facing the main election coming up in a few days' time.
All right. Remember that you can join the conversation simply by raising up your digital hand, and I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Now, how is your party going about supporting the concept of free and fair elections? Any engagement with other relevant stakeholders? Hello, Honorable, did you hear
Hello?
me? Can you hear me?
Can you take that again? It was breaking.
All right, I said, how is your party trying to secure the concept of free and fair elections in Anambra State? Any major meetings with stakeholders?
Are you talking about free and fair elections or stakeholders? I heard stakeholders at
Yes, how is
last.
your party working towards supporting? Okay, I'm talking of how is your party working to support, or rather to support free and fair elections come November 6th?
If there's anybody that wants a free and fair process, it should be the APC. If you check over the last 4 weeks, we've been talking about the insecurity situation in Anambra State, and some people are trying to politicize it. But thank goodness, the governor himself, only about 4 or 5 days ago, did say that the people who are orchestrating this are not from Anambra State, and that no Anambra son or daughter will go to the extent of trying to foist insecurity in the state. Now, we had also told him to go a step further. He should lead from the front and stop the buck passing. I'm not a chief security officer, it's the president. But the president doesn't sign your security votes every month, a humongous amount of money that is higher than any other governor, at least in the southeast. You signed for these monies, and it is meant to provide security. You told us you procured helicopters, drones, surveillance cameras. Where are all those? These are the times
I think we lost him again. Honorable, are you there? Honorable? Honorable?
Hello, I can hear you. I think the video
Yes,
stopped.
please go ahead. Yeah, you were saying something.
Yes, I was saying that the governor decided to do politicking, leaving security. Security is not something you turn your eyes away from, even for one day. When the Southeast governors met last week in Enugu, he didn't attend. And that will tell you that this is not somebody who is desirous of having a free and fair election. ABGA is going all over the place doing campaigns, but when any other party tries, I'm not saying that they are immune from attacks, but what is it that is giving the governor the ginger, as they say, to keep going around in these testy times? For us, we have devised a means to take our campaigns to the grassroots. And so we have local government campaign councils. We have taken it down to the wards so people can freely go within their communities to canvass. And that is, to my mind, the best way to go about these campaigns, because no life is worth any political contest. I will not be happy to see that one more Anambra person, dies because we want to go into a gubernatorial election. But having said that, I've told you that part of our own strategy is to go down to the grassroots. We have had several meetings with our ward officials, and we have mandated them to go down to the grassroots and start a door-to-door campaign, which I think is even more efficient and effective.
All right, let us hear from Mr. Daniel Elumba. I can see his hand up.
Yes, I have a question for Honorable Ogene, please. Would you agree that Senator Andiba has an image problem in Anambra State going into this election?
Well, the image problem, when somebody is taciturn, for people who do propaganda, and you have to check where he's coming from. Having worked at the highest levels at the villa, as a personal aide of the president, you don't expect him to be talking and coming out. He should be seen, and not heard. And so let me take one instance. For the 17 days that Senator Dr. Nnamdi Uba was governor, the major propaganda against him was that he sold the Kenga hotels. But you and I know that the government hadn't even settled in, hadn't even announced commissioners, not to talk of for you to sell a government property, you must advertise, and the advertisement takes 3 weeks. This man didn't even stay up to 3 weeks. So where was the tender, the bidding, and all that? And that land is still there. I'm told that ShopRite, it was given over to ShopRite. Why has no white paper indicted him how many years after? But it was a familiar tale for people to say. And he left that office in 2007. Governor Peter Obi, came to the seat for 8 years. If he so much felt that there was an illegality that was carried out, how come for 8 years nobody asked him questions? How come for 7.5 years of Governor Obiano nobody talked about it? If you talk about the mayhem that was visited on Anambra in during the period of Governor Chris Ngige in 2003, again, you cannot hold somebody vicariously liable for the act of any other person because he was in the PDP and there was an internal disagreement within members of the PDP. And so he must be dragged in. But my question remains, white paper investigative panels were set up on those mayhem. There is nowhere the name Andy Uba was mentioned. But it's so fair and nice for people to just, mouth it. How can we be, when we say these things that are even beyond reason, you begin to wonder, how come people keep telling lies and lies, hoping that it will stick? Yeah, it may stick with some people who are not rational in thinking, but if we are rational, you will know that if these things actually happened, there are processes in government. And till date, the man is standing and asking, where and when did he come into this issue? So except you tell me one particular issue and convince me why, you think that he should be held liable. Otherwise, if I even want to go on, the mayhem and all that, he stopped it. He was the one who handed the phone over to President Obasanjo in faraway Maputo, Mozambique. But it's not for him to come out and be saying all this, especially at the time and the office he was holding. I don't think that if I ask you who is President Buhari's SA on domestic affairs, you would even know the name. You wouldn't know. It's a backroom staff. It's a backroom officer that should not be competing for publicity with his boss. But being in the Anambra, we took it that whatever was going around, there was a power somewhere. This man has left that place ever since, and nobody has brought anything in that regard against him.
Mr. Lumba, I can still see your hands up.
Yeah. Okay. My next question would be, going into this election, Senator
Yeah.
Andiba has been a senator he was a senator for 8 years, I guess. Will we point to so should we point to any major achievement for the Anambra within those years he was a senator for us to be able to gauge how he will perform as a governor?
It's okay. I will, immediately after this program, I will send a soft copy of his achievements in the National Assembly. First, people must realize that you are in the National Assembly to make laws for the good governance of the Federation Nigeria. And in the 8 years Senator Andy Uba was there, I don't know if there are more than one senator, that had more bills passed than Senator Andy Uba. If you have time, I can begin to read out some of the bills. And even today, we are talking of Anambra as an oil producing, state. But many people forget that it was Andy Uba who stood on the floor of the Senate to talk about that. the Nigerian Railway Corporation Repeal Act, which also made it. You remember that the first Calabar-Lagos railway line, we were left out, the Eastern Corridor railway line. But because of his intervention, they had to redraw the plan. And so we now have railways heading to Aba, to Enugu, I think on Onitsha. So these are interventions that Senator, the Agricultural Credit Grantee Scheme Act was a bill he sponsored and passed. All these bills I'm calling were passed. National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure passed. Delegated legislation bill passed. National Inland Waterways, with the Inland Waterways at Onitsha. It was Senator Andy Uba's bill in 2016. I cannot go on and be calling the bills, but I can send them to you. Then when you talk about infrastructure, what has he done? I don't know if you're from Anambra South, but even if you're not from there, I have a booklet full of accomplishments in terms of projects attracted, to the people of Anambra South, which he represented diligently for 8 years. And let's say this, I was also in the National Assembly. Even if you are the dumbest legislator, there's a certain amount of money made available for your constituency. Yours is just to nominate the project, and it's an executive, either a ministry, department, or agency that does it. Then if you have increased reach, depending on your networking, you get more by going to a minister to say, oh, put this and this for me. And I don't think there is any Anambra son or daughter living that is more connected than Senator Andy Uba in terms of networking in Nigeria. So even his most ardent critic would agree to the fact that Andy Uba is somebody who can get a little more than the others would.
And the question people ask is, I agree with you that he has in terms of networking, people say he's very, very much network. But what benefit has the Anambra had from such networking? If you say projects in Anambra South, can you mention some of them so that our listeners will at least hear them and then be convinced?
I've told you that. Where do I start? Do I start mentioning school blocks? Do I start mentioning routes that we attracted? That is something that when you publish maybe an advertorial or something and people begin to look at them one after the other, I would not just mention for the sake of mentioning. If you are talking about, I started by talking about empowerment and how our people are crying marginalization. The other day, I chanced upon a video done by Chief Raf Wazirike of Masob, where he was talking about the man Andy Uba and his contacts. And he did say that if there were 20 people that got any position under Obasanjo, it was through Andy Uba. And nobody has come out to dispute that, even including Professor Charles Soludo. If you want to hear the story of his emergence as central bank governor, I've heard that story told and retold. I've not heard anywhere where Soludo has come out to dispute that. So if he did that, and the number of, he has played at the highest levels, the number of contacts, I also live in Abuja. I know the number of contacts Senator Andy Uba has across Nigeria. He's on first name basis with a lot of key political players in every state in this country. And you can take that to the bank.
All right.
My last question would be,
okay,
why is Senator Andy Uba, what in your opinion makes him reticent to speak to the media? During the APC primaries, almost all the APC candidates appeared on Elomba television. He gave us a date. 24 hours before the date, he canceled it, but most other aspirants appeared here and agreed to be interviewed. In your opinion, what makes him very, very reluctant to speak to the media?
Well, I may not be speaking for him directly on this, but if you say, in my opinion, what makes me, I think that here we have a man who feels fairly unfairly treated by the media. He felt that at the time that he was holed up in the villa, when he could not probably speak up for himself, that the media, without cross-checking, took everything that is, or those perceived political opponents threw at him, that the media took it hook, line, and sinker. And so you see, these people say that when you are stung by a scorpion, if you even see millipede in the night, you're bound, to be a little wary. So I see that in him. But that is not to say that if you engage, if you engage Senator Andrew Uba at informal settings, yeah, you'll be like, wow, this man can talk, for 1, 2, 3 hours on and on. I know that before the primaries, I belonged to a group called the APC Patriots. And we organized an interactive session, which the vice president was chair at the Hilton in Transcorp in Abuja. And all the major aspirants were there. Andrew Uba, because he was listed first in the brochure, he came in a little late, and the MC even said George Moal, who was the next person, should start, let him catch his breath. And George started with protestation. The man just got up and took the mic from George and, started talking to the crowd, and everybody was clapping. That also amazed me, that instead of relying on the excuse that he just came in, he went there, took the mic politely from George, and said his bit. So I think that if given the chance at any time, he will be able to. Every man should be able to tell his own story, and nobody can tell your story better than you.
All right. We are out of time, and we spent over 10 minutes to cover up for our late start. But before we round up, just any last words on this topic?
Well, thank you for the opportunity of a last word. I just want to say that my thoughts about this election were that it was going to be issues-based, but unfortunately, the ruling All Progressives Grand Alliance in Anambra is dragging every political party away from discussing the issues as it were in Anambra. I've been in Oka for about a month now, and there is no road that is passable within Oka City. In fact, you choose which pothole to go in, because on both sides of the road are littered with potholes, and nobody is talking about this. For 8 years, local government, I'm from Obaru, the governor cannot possibly point to one project that he has done in Obaru. And Obaru gets an average of 180 million naira per month, which goes to the state government. And you just pay salaries, spend 5 million, and then no project, not even a water project. Our road is still at the point where Governor Peter B left it 8 years ago. And the same sad story is all over the local government. But they do not want us to talk about this. And so they put security on the front burner. And even the security for which the governor has gotten accolades, and some of us applauded him at the time, has so regressed that you begin to wonder whether it's the same Anambra for which humongous sums of money are spent every month on security. So I want to urge the Anambra that we should quit lamenting and go fight it out. You talk about Igbo presidency. You can't be president of Igbo extraction sitting in the southeast. You must engage with people from across regions. So that, and if you don't engage, how can they trust you enough to leave? Nobody gives anybody power. You negotiate power, you demand for it, you take it. And so we should step out there to do what the others are doing and probably surpass them and take Indibo back to where we were pre-Civil War days. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And that's as much as we can take on today's interview. We have been discussing under the theme, Anambra decides preparedness of the All Progressive Congress towards the Anambra State 2021 elections. Special thanks to our guest, Honorable Victor Afam Ogene. He is the Director of Media and Publicity, Senator Andy Uba's campaign team. He is also a former member of the House of Representatives. He's also a chieftain of the APC. Thank you so much, sir, for coming.
My pleasure.
And of course, special thanks to everybody that held the fort while the network was proven to be a challenge. Dr. Anedo, Arinze Chukwu, Napoleon, Sir Chris Chikwelu Jr. Thank you so much. And from me, Augusta Neka, it's good night. Mr. Lumba, I don't know if you want to stay for an informal chat.